Can these translator earbuds by Timekettle help you learn a new language? Well, today I'm going to be reviewing the WT2 EDGE Translator Earbuds by Timekettle. Let's go. Bienvenidos, amigos, and welcome back to another episode of More Live Diaries. And today we have a little bit of a special episode. We're going to be reviewing the Timekettle Translator Earbuds. Timekettle was very kind to send these over and trust us to do a review for you guys, test the product, and we've done all of that here. So I'm going to be going over some of the key features, the different functions of this product, and I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion on if this is useful to learn a new language or not, and if I think that it's worth it, and in what situations I think it might be helpful for you guys. So let's get into this review of the Timekettle WT2 EDGE earbuds. Just quickly, I'd like to introduce myself to those who don't know. I'm one quarter of More Live Diaries. My name is Mark, and I moved from Toronto, Canada to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico with my wife, Kathleen, and my two kids, Bastian and Callie. We've been living here for just over a year, so of course we've had to learn Spanish, which is the language spoken here in Mexico, and we're obviously still in the process. Kathleen and I came to Mexico with a beginner level Spanish, I'd say, and now we're basically intermediate speakers. We still have a long way to go, and for us adults, it's significantly harder to learn a new language than it is for our kids. For example, they go to school in full Spanish and they just have a really good grasp of the language. They've been learning a ton of Spanish, so on their learning curve, they're significantly more advanced than us. However, we have more experience with the language, so in terms of vocabulary, we know a lot more. I was genuinely interested to see if these translator earbuds would be helpful, especially in certain situations that I've walked away from, not really knowing what happened or what was said. A couple of quick examples for you guys that I'll get into a little bit more is, for example, at the mechanic shop, bringing my car in and not knowing what is wrong with it. And those are very specific words that are being used. I had to do a bunch of translations on my phone and still kind of walked away confused a couple times. And another good example would be at the immigration office, for example, just trying to understand what the person is trying to say, what I need to do. Gets very confusing because that language is very technical, very specific. Let me get into some of the specifics of this product here. Let's get into it. I first want to get into the unboxing experience and the initial impressions of this product, just having it in hand. There is a ton of products like this that you order online and it comes, it's, half working. The packaging is suspicious. The make of it is a little bit wonky. So the initial impression I have with this and unpackaging the product from this box here is that it's just all quality. I'm a sucker for a good unpackaging and for branding and marketing, and this thing has it all. I want to say that just the overall unpackaging is similar to something you'd have with the Apple product. The box is very sturdy, keeping the product, from any damages while shipping. And then you open it up here, you have the ear pods inside the case. And it just comes with, multiple different accessories that you would want, such as around the loop ears, just to make sure the fit is perfect for everyone, and silicone in-ear fittings, so different sizes, and a cable to charge as well. So all the accessories you would want with this type of earbud, just to make sure the fit is proper. And the design and build quality of the product itself, so just starting with the case, comparable to an Apple product, the same type of plastic, the same type of shape. It has these lights here at the bottom that light up to let you know how much battery you have, which is amazing. And then opening the product, again, just no complaints here. Everything is very sturdy, very good. The earbuds are secured in there with like a magnetic attachment, so they'll be charging once they're in the case. Just overall a really solid product. There are also lights on the earbuds, which I absolutely love, so you know which one is working, if there's battery in them. So just a really solid product in terms of make and quality. Moving on to the fun part, so the different types of settings or modes you can put it in. So these different settings are in the app. You'll choose the setting that is most appropriate to what you're going to be using the translations for. So it's really important to kind of read through the settings before using them, so that you get the best experience, you get the best translation possible, and everything functions as you'd want it to. The first setting is simul mode or simultaneous mode. So this is a setting for complete immersion. You would be using this if you were sitting with someone and you wanted just to have a conversation and have it translated into the language that you choose or that the other person is speaking. So in my experience, obviously living in Mexico, it's always Spanish. So basically I'd be sitting down with someone, I'd be having one earbud in one ear and the person would have the other in theirs, and then you select the language that you want. And a really cool part of this is that you can kind of have a conversation and have it translating in your ear as you go. So the translator is really good, so there is a gap, but it's not an awkward gap between the two people. Just a really cool way to, have a conversation if you're not able to speak the language at all. And the really cool part of this is that on the app, it has the translation from Spanish to English or English to Spanish, so that you're able to follow along if you maybe missed something that was said. If you want to go back, if you want to press, repeat so that it repeats it, everything is there on the app, and it's upside down so that it's facing both people so that they can both reference the conversation directly on the app. Now, with this mode, what I found is that it really needs to be in a specific setting where you are kind of face to face and you do need, the translation on the spot. I did find that it needs to be a really quiet setting with no external noise. Although the earbuds do cancel some of the noise, it's still really important to have a really quiet setting, maybe in a coffee shop where there's no music, where no one's sitting close to you, so that the translator is able to pick up on every single word that is being said. Touch mode is similar to simul mode, where each person would be wearing an earbud, but I much prefer touch mode because instead of having the translator listen constantly without stopping it unless you physically press it, this one, you press on the earbud as you're speaking so that it's listening to you and it's translating to the other person. And once it's time for the other person to speak, they press on theirs and it translates back. So I find this one much better because it's not getting confused with surrounding people that are talking or music or trying to pick up. Everything is just really straightforward. You're literally telling it, hey, I'm speaking now, listen to me. So I really like this feature of the earbuds because there's a lot less confusion. There's a lot less surrounding noise coming into the app, and it just makes it a lot more straightforward. Speaker mode. Speaker mode is another really good function on this translator because it's the one you would typically use the most if you're going out and doing transactional stuff. So if you're going to the store and you speak none of the language and you want to ask for something specific, you would be wearing the earbuds and you would be saying what you want in English, and then on your phone's speaker, it would be translating whatever you're trying to say. And the good thing about this is you still have the translation on your phone so that if, for example, the person didn't hear or they're not sure, they can look at the actual translation, in my case, in Spanish. So a really cool option if you're just, going to the grocery store, or you're going to the pharmacy and you want something very specific. A really, really good one. I'd say this is probably one of their key modes here that you would use the most in most, travel settings, or if you're going to get paperwork done at, an immigration office, if you're going to the doctor's office. This is the mode that you would most use. And again, I found that this one worked best when the setting is quiet. So it has to be as quiet as possible for the translation to be as accurate as possible. If there is any surrounding noises, then the translation could be a little bit off. But for the most part, the message was always somewhat clear. Last but not least, another really good mode on this is listen mode. And this is when you don't necessarily need to talk to anyone, you just want to listen in. So I did a bunch of testing on this mode, watching YouTube videos and watching the news on TV. And the same as all the other ones, as clear as the person is speaking, it's as clear as the translation will be. So what I found is watching some YouTube videos are cut so that the person is constantly speaking nonstop. So I found that the translator had a little bit of difficulty keeping up because the person's never stopping and it's always trying to translate. So whenever there's pauses and the cadence of the person that is speaking, it's definitely going to impact the accuracy of the translation. So for people that were speaking fairly slowly, again, the translation was amazing. But then I had like some fast-paced Spanish YouTube videos. They're eating street food, there's music, there's stuff going on, there's dogs barking, cars driving. I found that the translation wasn't as accurate because of all of the different noises it was just trying to keep up. And the same thing watching the news. There's music, they're cutting to different types of videos. They're cutting back and forth between people. I think everything was just way too quick for the translator to pick up on. So there was some difficulties there. There were some segments where the translation was great. Again, it really all depends on what's going on and how much is going on as well. Moving on to the pros and cons of this product, I'm going to start with the pros. And one of the pros on here, I'd say, is definitely the speed of translation. So although you have to wait, there's a little bit of gap where it's translating. If you're speaking with someone, there will be a little bit of an awkward pause, but I found it to be not that bad. It does translate fairly quickly. It knows when to stop, when the person stops. So the speed of everything on here is fairly good. I really like that about it. It's not as awkward as I thought it would be. Another con of this is just the ease of use. From the time I, charged these, opened them up, downloaded the app, everything was super straightforward. Connected to the app right away. You can see the battery levels on them. You can see, which speaker needs which earbud based on the language. And the first time you use the app, it really walks you through what you need to do, what you need to look out for, the different types of modes and what they're used for. So a very, very easy product to use for those who aren't tech savvy. I'd say the accuracy both has pros and cons. Obviously, it claims to be 95% accurate. And I don't doubt that, but it needs to be in the right setting. So whenever there's not a lot of noise around, if it's just a one-on-one setting in a quiet room or a quiet area, then definitely I do believe that this thing does translate up to 95%. But when a lot is going on, it's a little bit more difficult, challenging for this thing to translate with accuracy, but that's kind of to be expected. It's very difficult for it to pick up on just what's going on between two people if there's 1,000 things going on around those people. One of my favorite features on here, and I have to say that this is something I used to do, but I used to manually do it, is that you can export the conversation. So all of the conversations are saved and you can actually export them. And the reason that this is my favorite feature is that I kind of used to do this with my translator. Whenever I would go somewhere and needed to use very specific language, I would translate what I wanted to say and then save it in Spanish and make sure, that I knew what the words were, etc. And then try to write down what words they were telling me back, just so I can go back home later and look them up. So with this, everything is done in real time. I can go back home and have, the full conversation saved and then study the words, study the sentence structures, see what was said and understand everything. This is my favorite feature on this thing. Again, I'm someone that's very visual. I like to look at what was said and not only hear it. And this gives you the benefit of having both. Just to be able to go back and really study and look at the words that were said is super helpful for me. Getting into the cons, very few cons with this thing. Again, I'm not going to repeat it. In a loud setting with a lot of things going on, the accuracy of the translation is lesser. It's really important to try to, use the appropriate mode based on the setting that you are in. Another one was the difficulty in translating rapid communication. So people who speak very quickly, the app just doesn't catch everything. So it's important that whenever you're having a conversation or if you're, speaking with someone on speaker mode, to be like, hey, can you slow down a little bit? Like, speak to me like you're speaking into Google Translate or a translator, because that's exactly what it is. And the message will be very accurate. So what are my final thoughts on the Timekettle Translator earbuds? Can this help you learn a new language? And just to answer my question, I don't think that only using this will help you learn a new language. That's, much too hard. There's way too many different ways to practice learning a new language. A lot of it has to do with just trying to speak that new language. But as I mentioned, having the opportunity to export the conversations is something that I personally use to learn the new language, so to learn Spanish. So I think that that feature in itself, just having something to listen in on a conversation, translate everything and being able to reference it later is amazing. So no, only using this will not help you learn a new language, but I think that this is an important tool to be able to have to learn a new language. So I'll definitely be using this. As I mentioned, moving to Mexico, getting myself in situations and conversations where I didn't know the technical language was very difficult for me. Walking away, not knowing what was said, what happened, still having questions, still being confused. I could have definitely used this. This isn't for me like an everyday going to a coffee shop and trying to order a coffee type of device, but in very specific scenarios, I could have definitely used this, and I will be using this going forward. Where I think that the Timekettle earbuds do shine is for people that travel a lot. So if you're traveling Europe where you have to try to learn many different languages, or traveling Asia where it's kind of the same thing, you could definitely use this with all of the languages that are offered, you know, trying to get around. You're not going to learn 3-4 different languages. You'll learn words here and there. You'll get busy on your translator on your phone. But I think just having something like this will make the whole process of backpacking or traveling across countries where they speak different languages a lot easier. So guys, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below in what scenarios you would use the Timekettle Translator earbuds. Comment if you've had them or if you've had something similar and you've had to use it. I'm really interested in what you guys have to say and where you would see this product to be beneficial. And of course, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It helps us greatly, and we do appreciate every one of you. All links to the product and discounts are down in the description if you're interested. And yeah, guys, this is just the first More Life Diaries review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is our journey. More Life Diaries. Peace.